You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor, subscribe to the channel, leave your comments below, and be sure to smash that like button. If you head over to LouisianaSports.net, we've got a story up about Richard Anderson that it's going to be pretty encouraging if you're an LSU fan. So you're, I'm sure, familiar with who Richard Anderson is. Richard Anderson is a four-star. He's the number one defensive tackle in the country for the class of 2026. He's out of Edna Carr in New Orleans, and he's the number 3 player in Louisiana for 2026. And this is a guy that you just got to keep. We've talked about it plenty up until this point. The 2026 class, bumper crop in Louisiana. And so these are the types of classes that that become the foundation of championship teams and have over the last 25 years in Baton Rouge. And Richard Anderson's a big piece of that, as is making sure Lamar Brown and Blaine Bradford and guys like that stay home. Now, Richard Anderson committed to LSU back in June of last year. So June of 24, he committed. And he's been solidly committed to this point. However, there's naturally some anxiety that goes on when your position coach leaves, as Bo Davis did. Well, I had an interaction this weekend with Bryce Brown, who is the head football coach at Edna Carr, where Richard Anderson plays. And Bryce Brown told me in no uncertain terms that he and Richard Anderson were very impressed with Kyle Williams. They did a 2-day unofficial visit in Baton Rouge with the LSU staff and with Kyle Williams. And what Bryce Brown told me is that Kyle Williams' meeting with him was both, quote, eye-opening and refreshing. He also said, quote, Kyle was great, very personable, confident, and knowledgeable. I think he'll do great for LSU. He also added that meeting with Kyle Williams, quote, reinforced Richard's commitment to LSU. I think that is so encouraging. Not to think necessarily that that Kyle Williams isn't going to do the job or wouldn't do the job well or anything to that effect. It's just to say that you don't know. You know, it's the risk you take when you hire Kyle Williams. And I know that sounds funny to say because Kyle Williams played 13 years in the NFL and was an All-American and a 6-time Pro Bowler and a national champion and all that stuff, which is all true. But he's also never been a college football coach. And when your first job is at LSU, there's always look. We just got done talking about like Texas A&M baseball. I know it's not what and what, but they hired Michael Early, promoted him as the head coach, and they are struggling out the gate. They hired an unknown. They took a big risk there, and sometimes that works, and sometimes that doesn't work. Look, I mean, Oklahoma, it's a head coach thing, but Oklahoma, when Bob Stoops retired, promoted Lincoln Riley. Young guy, gave him his first head coaching job at Oklahoma. It's a big step up, and he aced the test at Oklahoma. So sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't. But this was so encouraging because you've got to make sure in this class you're protecting Louisiana. Because as we've gone through it before with the guys in this state for this class in 2026, you got 6 guys, in the top 100, really 6 guys in the top 80 prospects nationally. You get all of those guys to stay at home. Not only is it good to get those guys, but it's good for retention as well. So as to say, it'll be much easier, in theory, to retain guys from Louisiana and prevent them from going to the portal and looking around than guys who came here from out of state. And listen, there's exceptions to every rule. Walker Howard left after 1 year. Shelton Sampson left after a couple of years. But you've also seen guys who have patiently stayed and waited their turn and sometimes battled through injuries, and guys that just want to play for LSU. I mean, I could look at Aaron Anderson as an example, who did come here as a transfer. But after that first year, when he didn't really play, it would have been very understandable had he jumped in the portal and gone somewhere where he was going to get more targets and more attention. Instead, comes back last year, ends up being LSU's leading receiver on that team a season ago. Now, hopefully, we'll have a great senior year back for his 5th season. So I was just very encouraged by that, hearing that from Bryce Brown of Edna Carr. And of course, when you look at Edna Carr, which has been such a great pipeline of talent for LSU, and Anderson's committed, as is his teammate Aiden Hall, the safety, out of Edna Carr in New Orleans. So that's been a program, y'all, that has been a talent factory in New Orleans. Bryce Brown's done an amazing job with that program, and LSU's done a really good job recruiting that program as well. Of course, Teron Francis is a freshman receiver from Edna Carr, who's an early enrollee. He's going through spring right now. So the more talent, obviously, you get out of the New Orleans area in that program, the better. But Richard Anderson, the early returns from his first unofficial visit with Kyle Williams and the staff, went apparently, as I'm told, very well. Bryce Brown and Richard Anderson spent 2 days here in Baton Rouge on an unofficial, and as he told me, it reinforced Richard's commitment to LSU. Here's your less than 12 months away from that December signing period. So good returns there. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.